Hello everyone, my name is Ches and welcome to Sport Shack. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at the BMX brands that we now carry here at the store. Now we've carried many BMX brands throughout the years such as Hoffman, DK, and Nerve. But this year we decided to extend beyond the Haro BMX line that we have to include We the People and Kink Bmx. So let's start off with the Haro line and see what we have in store. So this is the Haro Leucadia. It is one of Haro's entry-level bikes with 20-inch wheels. It has a high-tensile steel frame with ball bearings on all major areas such as the headset, bottom bracket, and of course the wheels. Now starting off with the bottom bracket, it does use the old school American style, so it's a little bit bigger, but again it uses the ball bearings. But what Haro did in this particular bike is they used their own Haro 1978 three-piece chromoly crank, and it also has a 25x9 drivetrain. Now, if you're not too familiar with the sizes of different drivetrains, if you remember the old school ones with the big chain rings in the front, whenever you spun the wheel, the chain would always have a tight area and a loose area. With the 25x9, it virtually gets rid of all that. So I do highly recommend getting a bike with a 25x9 drivetrain. Now, moving on to the rear wheel here. Another benefit for this particular bike, it is a sealed hub system, and that's what you want on all BMXs. So this bike retails for $390 Canadian. So the Leucadia comes in three colors, black, red, and sea blue. Here we have the DLX version. You get the same components of what you do in the original Leucadia, but with the DLX, you get added features such as pegs front and back, as well as a front brake. But my favorite is the gyro system, a detangler. Basically what happens is when you spin your wheels, no matter how many times, your cables will never bind up. It is a perfect freestyle type bike. This bike retails for $410, and for the price difference, I'd say just go over with this one, and then whatever you don't need, take off. So this is the downtown. It's a step up from the Leucadia, and the major differences are between the headset and the bottom bracket. With the bottom bracket, you get what's called a mid BB, a mid bottom bracket. Now, compared to the American style, which is a lot bigger, the mid is almost about half that size. And with that system, it uses a cartridge bearing system. So it's a lot stronger, so it can handle the weight and it can handle the jumping. I totally recommend that. And with the headset, it uses a semi-integrated system, but it uses the same type of bearing, so it's as smooth as butter. That's what you want in a BMX. I love that. So this bike retails for $440 Canadian. And with the DLX version, that comes with pegs front and back, as well as the front brake and gyro system, retails for $470 Canadian. So there you have it for the Haro line that we carry here in the store. Let's move on to the Kink Bmx. So before we continue on, I want to talk a little bit about the bottom bracket and the differences between a ball bearing system and a cartridge bearing system. Here I have the American style bottom bracket, which uses the ball bearings. The ball bearings are rested onto a retainer, and the retainer goes onto the race, and the race goes into the cup. But with this particular system, it's very easy for dirt to get on the inside. So what you have to do every once in a while is take it apart, clean it right out, maybe replace the retainer with the bearings, which I actually do recommend every time you do that, and then put it back on. Now with this system, there's a nut that holds everything together. So what you have to do is have a happy medium where it's still tight, but still be able to move very freely. Now with the mid BB, it uses the cartridge bearing system. Right off the bat, it's sealed and it's smooth. Like, this is a no-brainer, right? This can handle the weight, right? So if I were to step on this and this, which one do you think would last? Actually, let's find out right now. So if you're having a hard time deciding between an entry-level bike versus the next level up, which has the cartridge bearing system, I highly recommend spending the extra money to get this system over this. It's less maintenance, it's stronger, and it'll outperform the ball bearing by far. And that is a quick look at the bearing differences of the bottom bracket. Here we have the Curve from Kink Bmx. It's their entry-level bike with 20-inch wheels, and it has a high-tensile steel frame that includes the fork and the handlebars, and it has a 20-inch top tube. The bottom bracket uses the American-style ball bearings, so it's not sealed, but it does have a Mission Triumph 3-piece chromoly crank with a 25x9 drivetrain. The rear hub is the Mission Function. It's a semi-sealed hub system. So basically it's mostly sealed on the drive side, not so much on the other side. So this bike does come with ball bearings throughout, but one nice thing that this bike does come with is wide tires, which is a 2.4. So this bike retails for $465 Canadian. Just a quick disclaimer, when I'm talking about the fork, whether it being high tensile steel or chromoly, I'm talking about the steer tube only, not necessarily the whole fork. If the whole fork is chromoly, it will usually have a 100% sticker on it. These ones do not, so it's only high tensile steel on the fork portion, but on the steer tube portion, that's the part that goes inside the head tube, that is chromoly. Let's continue on. Here we have the launch. It's a high tensile steel frame with a 20.25 top tube. It also has a high tensile steel handlebar. The fork, though, is chromoly and it has a tapered fork to it. The bottom bracket is a mid-BB, which is sealed. It also has the Mission Triumph 3-piece chromoly crank with a 25x9 drivetrain. The rear hub is also the Mission Function, which is semi-sealed, mostly on this side. And the headset over here is a semi-integrated headset as well. So the bearings that are used in there are just as good as they are at the bottom bracket. This particular bike is a digital blue. They only made 420 of these. I have one of these in this store here. And also the tires are the Kink Sever 2.4 size tires. And this bike retails for $515 Canadian. Are you ready for the next level up? Here we have the Gap FC with the chromoly frame on the top tube, head tube, and the down tube. But that's not all. We also have a 9-inch handlebar, which is chromoly, as well as the fork. Now moving on to the bottom bracket, we have a mid-BB, which is sealed, and it has a Kink Ridge 3-piece chromoly crank with a 25x9 drivetrain. On the rear hub, we have a Mission Deploy. What that means is that it's sealed throughout. So that means it's sealed on the teeth area, and then it's sealed on the other side. Now moving on to the headset, we have a semi-integrated sealed system. So the cartridge bearings in there are just as well made as the bottom bracket. Now, if you move over here, you see two little holes we call gyro tabs. So that means you could put a gyro system on here. So on the top tube, we have a 20.5 inch, and on the tires, we have the Kink Sever 2.4. This bike retails for $700. Moving on to We the People, we're gonna start off with the CRS, the Curse. With the frame, we have a high tensile steel with a chromoly down tube. That's this piece here. With the fork, it's a high tensile steel with the chromoly steer. The handlebar is 20 inches, also high tensile steel. Moving on to the bottom bracket, we have a mid-BB with the Salt Rookie 3-piece chromoly crank, also with 165 millimeters with a 25x9 drivetrain. With the rear hub, we have the Salt AM or AM. That is fully sealed. That means it's sealed where the teeth is, it's sealed on the other side as well. The top tube here is a 20.25, and moving on to the headset, we have a semi-integrated bearing system, which is sealed, and also has the gyro tabs on here if you ever want to put a gyro on it. The tires are 2.35, and this bike retails for $620. Do you like video games? Have you ever been to the arcade? Well, here we have the arcade from We the People. On the frame, we have a chromoly on the top tube and the down tube. Moving on to the fork, we have high tensile steel with a chromoly steer. The handlebar is also high tensile. Moving on to the bottom bracket, we have the mid-BB, of course, it's sealed. And on this one, we have the Salt AM 3-piece chromoly crank with 165 millimeters. It has a 25x9 drivetrain. The rear hub is called the Salt Pro. Of course, totally sealed, but on top of that, we also have the covers for extra protection. Moving back onto the frame, we have a 20.5 or a 21 inch. And the headset is a semi-integrated sealed bearing inside there, and it does, of course, have the two gyro hose if you ever want to put a gyro on here as well. This has the Salt Plus Sting 2.35 tires, and this bike retails for $665. Here we have my favorite BMX in the lineup, Justice from We the People. The frame is fully chromoly. That means the top tube, down tube, C tube, chromoly. Fork, handlebar, chromoly. I love this bike so far. Down to the bottom bracket, we have the mid BB. Of course, it's sealed and it's press fit. The crank, we have the Salt Rebel 3-piece chromoly crank with 165 millimeters. It has a 25x9 drivetrain. The rear hub is the Salt Pro. That means it's sealed, fully sealed on the drive side and non-drive side. The front hub is also Salt Pro. That means the bearings in there are sealed. And on top of that, there's the hub guards on the front and back wheels. Moving on to the top two, we have a 20.75. The headset, we have a semi-integrated sealed bearing system in there. It's got the 2 holes as well for the gyro system if you ever want to put that on as well. The tires are the Salt Plus Sting 2.35s in the camouflage. This bike retails for $760, and this is the best spec mid-level bike on the market. And it's my favorite. What do you think? So that's our BMX lineup for 2020. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite, and I'll catch you next time.